welcome to another episode of Millennials to Millionaires. I'm your host, Alicia Ace West.
I'm Daniel King, aka King Sold.
And we've got another guest.
Another Daniel.
Back to back with another Daniel. Yeah. Oh, damn, Daniel. I'm with the two Daniels.
We changed it to the D&D show today.
Yeah,
wow.
Switch it up. Okay, so we got Daniel G. He is the world's #1 sales trainer of 2020. He has done $50 million in sales and spoke on over 130 stages in 60 different countries.
That's amazing.
Welcome to the
Thank
M2M
you,
Podcast.
thank you.
I've only been to one other country, or two other, I should say. You've been to 60, bro. I got to catch up to you.
Cities.
Oh, cities. Sorry,
Yeah.
cities.
Yo, countries would be crazy.
Yeah.
That's a goal, though.
One day,
Yeah.
we got to manifest it. It starts now, right? So talk to us about being the world's best sales trainer. Like, what is that? What's going on?
I mean, well, first of all, I was always the best since I was young. Like,
Period.
I knew that, but somebody had to label that after.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. I would tell people, too. I'm like, I'm already the best. And they'd be like, no, you're not. I'm like, I'm just telling you the future in advance.
Yeah.
But, so I mean, there's so much before that. That there was a buildup before, like, me getting into sales training and everything like that. I don't know if you guys want to.
Yes, let's go through it. So right now you're in sales.
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
specifically do you sell?
So I train sales and I have a sales agency.
Okay.
So one section of the business is I train sales executives in multiple different industries, whether it's real estate, network marketing, direct sales, door to door, phone sales.
You're the trainer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other side of the business is I run a sales agency. So I train and outsource sales executive to different companies, coaches, and influencers. So if you have like an influencer or a coach online that has a course, they'll take one of my sales executives. So I train them and then I outsource them to other companies.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did this journey begin? So did you always know that you were going to get into sales, or did it kind of just fall into your lap, like this idea?
So here's the deal. Sales is like, when you're young, nobody's like, I want to become a sales executive. And we all know that because we're all in sales in one way, shape, or form or another here. Like, you don't when you're young, like I wanted to play soccer and I wanted to be a DJ and a producer. And like sales is like the most forgiving profession in the world. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your age, race, gender, criminal records, nothing. I was class clown, dropped out of university. Like, it accepts you with open arms if you're willing to work. That's what sales is, right? It has no discrimination towards people. And that's why I love the profession. But when I was young, I grew up born and raised in Mississauga. And, parents split up, age of 12, 13 years old. Didn't come from a wealthy family at all. My family went from middle class to lower middle class. And then I always say the story when I was young, I just realized like everybody kind of goes through like the light bulb moment when they're like, oh shit, like thing has to pick up in life and stuff. Mine happened, like my aha moment happened when I was very young. When I realized that my parents weren't going to give me money, I put an 87-cent candy down at No Frills.
Yeah.
It's a grocery store here in Canada. I put an 87-cent candy down on the conveyor belt, and my dad looked at me and he's like, "You're not getting that today." And when he said that to me, I'm like, okay, that's just a sign that if I go ask this guy for $20 to take out my girlfriend at the time to the movies, I'm not getting it.
He's not
So I was the hustler just when I was young. I went back home to my brother. I'm like, yo, Steve, burn 1,000 discs off Casa Light. Remember Casa Light? I'm like, yo, burn 1,000 legal CDs off Casa Light. I was flipping everything at school. I did aeration. So it's like we poke holes in people's grass. And I started door-to-door sales when I was 14 years old. And I did that for about 4 years. And throughout that time, I was, the ADD kid, couldn't keep my focus, class clown, never got to go out for like recess or anything like that. Always when I was young. And it's crazy because I was thinking about this yesterday, how we're programmed when we're young to think that's bad.
Yeah.
However, nobody looked at any of that as a strength to me, being like, okay, man, but this guy's a good communicator. Like he's
outgoing, he's personable.
Yeah, he's outgoing. He likes to make jokes. Maybe one day he could have his own podcast or have his own show. They don't look at the talents like that. They just they label it, right? And then when you look at it, you're like, yo, 50% of people are labeled with freaking ADD. Is it actually is it a thing or is it it's just part of somebody, right?
Putting people in a box in a circle.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So fast forward, I got into university, and somehow I got into college first, and then I transitioned from college to university within the first year. 19 years old, I was at York University, and I was selling throughout the whole time. But at 19, when I got into York University, I was there for like international business, and I had a prof tell me, Like I remember him saying this in economics class. He's like, if you guys want to come out of this university making six figures, you're in the wrong place in the wrong program. And I looked at this guy. I'm like, wait, this guy's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was well on my way by the age of 21, 22. If I just kept hustling, stayed on my businesses. I had aeration businesses after, and I had a driveway sealing business, right? I'm like, if I just do this with my brother for the next 2-3 years, I'm bound to make six figures. Now I'm going into university, going to get into debt, $40,000 into debt. And now you're telling me I can't make six figures? I'm a logical human being. And by the way, I went into university just like majority of people, because I'm like, okay, you know, it's going to give me the upper hand. I'm going to have leverage and I'm going to make money. I cared about money at the time. You know, I didn't have money. I didn't grow up from money. So I'm like, I didn't care about alignment, fulfillment, passion. I didn't care about any of that. I'm like, yo, this guy's telling me I can't make money. I'm dropping out today. So I looked at my girl for the time. I said, babe, I'm dropping out. We're in the same class. I'm like, you want to make love? Let's do it right now in the lecture hall, because I'm bouncing. I'm getting out of here. So we left. That didn't happen. But
you made a quick U-turn.
Yeah. She's like, where are you? I'm like, yo, you're actually never going to see me again. I'm like, straight up. And that's how I got back into sales. I started selling advertisements down in New York Times Square, like the big billboard advertisements at 19. I transitioned from selling advertisements into medical device sales, and that's really where it started to kick off, because it's a complex sale. So when you look at sales, you have like one-on-one sales, like insurance sales, real estate. It gets a bit more complex when you get on the commercial side. You have a lot more buyers sometimes. But when I was in medical device sales, I was young, which is unheard of. You don't see a 20-year-old get into account executives jobs in medical device sales. So I started learning a very complex sale, which means there's multiple buyers on one product. And that's where you got to sit down at a table and look at an engineer, a doctor, a nurse practitioner, and study all their personalities and know how to speak to every single one. And I'm learning this at a young age. So I'm studying sales too, like nuts. You have a book in front of you right there. Like I studied 300 books in the last 2.5 years while I was in medical device sales. I treated it like a university.
Yeah.
So in 3.5 years, while I was being like programmed, I was programming the subconscious with sales. I was also applying it, which is very lethal, because it's like 2 levels of learning is, you know, learning, and then application is when you become a beast. And then the 3rd level is teaching. And that's when you become an ultimate beast at learning your own self. Like if I'm teaching a subject, I'm better at teaching that. Like say I'm teaching something right now on the podcast and somebody's listening to this, I'm learning 10 times more than they're comprehending right now.
100%.
Because you're teaching. You guys know it, right? So and then at 23, 24, got the bank account past 6 figures, blah, 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 started buying the cars, and I'm like, okay, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm like, I always know that I could get back into sales, and I realized that money isn't going to be the fulfillment side of it. And I realized that at a young age. And what I did was I formulated a curriculum to start teaching kids in high school sales. And I was still
gotta teach the kids young.
Yeah,
you don't learn anything really in high
nobody
school.
learns it,
in
right?
high school. I don't.
Nah,
there's
I'm like, yo, I'm gonna run up in these. Yeah, we don't learn
We
sales
don't learn
in high
anything
school.
in high school.
And it's crazy, because when you look at the stats, 50% of people end up having a sales job, 25%, like having a sales job once throughout their career, whether it's retail, whatever it is, 25% end up in a career of sales. Wow. And when you look at that, you're like, yo, that's crazy that they don't even teach us like human communication. Yeah. How do you start a conversation? How do you compliment somebody? How do you qualify somebody? How do you go look for people? Blah, blah, blah. We're told not to talk to strangers, when it's been like the biggest thing in my life was to talk to strangers, open up relationships, make business with them, right? So I took my curriculum and like I really went unorthodox. Remember like public speakers when like when we were in school and there was like pump up. I'm like, I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna do that to classrooms. I'm gonna call up teachers and I'm gonna be like, yo, let me train your business class for an hour. And I just started doing that. And when the first class that I went into, and somebody came up to me after, it was my old high school. It was called St. Francis Xavier. It's in Mississauga.
Hey, shout out to Xavier.
Yeah. And the first, when I walked into class, I trained like A to Z sales. Like I'm like, yo, this was my formula. Get into inside sales, account executive. I was teaching them this. I'm like, you guys can make 6 figures. Blah, blah, blah. And I guess it was like a little inspiring story. A kid came up to me. He's like, yo, man, that changed my. And I looked at him. He's like, that changed my life. I want to get in sales. And I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, yo, that feels amazing. Like that felt better than any commission check I've ever made.
That's fulfilling. That's actual fulfillment.
I'm like, that's like the kicker right there.
100%.
And that's where I wanted to get into the educational side, where I wanted to start. And that's how I got into training. I'm like, yo, I'm going to do everything and anything in my ability to do this for the rest of my life. Whether money takes a hit in the beginning stages, I'm like, I'm going to play towards a happiness game, and don't worry, it'll come in the future, because this is what's going to give me the most energy and passion, which ultimately drives money no matter what. So, and that's how I got into the education side of sales, public speaking, training, et cetera, et cetera.
When you're able to find that job or whatever it is that's going to pay you, that's going to like fulfill your passion, but then also like give back to the community, that's when you like hit that sweet
It's
spot.
a triple threat.
Yeah, and it's like there's nothing better than that. So it's amazing that you have been able to find that so young and been able to be successful in it as well. Were there any moments that you felt like you just wanted to quit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even till today.
Door to door is hard, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, to be honest with you, that's probably the hardest type of sales. You deal with the most amount of rejection.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel like knocking on someone's door and they slam it in your face? How do you keep knocking?
I'll be honest, man. So as you're older, your ego raises, okay? So when you're young, you don't take things as personal as you do when you're older. It's really weird, bro. When you're young, you have more of a creative mindset. You don't stop. Yo, I used to skateboard. I broke my collarbone. I'd be at the skate park the next day. You're a kid. You're creative, right? So I actually think when you're young, it's actually easier than when you're old. Because when you're old, you have all these fears, these self-doubts and everything. When you're young, I'm just trying to make $5. I'm just like, yo, my brother would call me like a rat. He'd be like, yo, why are you shoveling somebody's driveway for $2.50? I didn't care about anything. I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to get my money to go out and stuff like that. So I actually, even when somebody told me no, I would throw on the lawnmower and start cutting the grass.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I'm a kid. They're gonna pay me no matter what, right? So like,
they're gonna feel bad after.
Use it to your advantage.
But yeah, I mean, quitting. I in terms of quitting, I think the most important part in sales is if you want to enjoy a movie, you leave your disbelief at the door. If you want to enjoy the movie at the cinemas.
Yeah.
If you want to enjoy sales and you want to make a lot of money, you leave your emotions at the door. Meaning, when somebody says no to you, if you take that emotionally, you're going to get crushed in sales. You have to realize that it's a reflection of either A, you're not providing enough value, B, they have an insecurity or something that they're wearing off on yourself. And when you could realize that and be like, this is all part of it, you anticipate rejection. You anticipate that. You go into every sale like this. I'm going into the sale, I'm going to get a yes, but on that journey to the yes, I'm going to get no's.
Yeah, you're going to
And when you can anticipate, but mindset is like, yo, I'm going to close the deal, but on the way to close the deal, there's going to be a whole ton of no's.
And then how do I pivot from that? How do I
deal with it?
them?
Knowing it's going to happen instead of getting emotional throughout the sale. Oh, I'm not interested, blah, blah. I don't do things like this. I don't have the money, blah, blah. It's just regular. It's just a game. When you know how to deal with it, you're kind of, when you're prepared in sales, it's like more exciting than anything. Most people lose in sales because they don't know how to deal with a no. But if you knew how to deal with every single no, every single conversation is exciting, because you're like, if they say I don't have the time and I don't have money, I know how to deal with that right away.
Yeah.
If they say, no, I don't really do this kind of stuff, you know how to deal with that right away. It's more exciting than anything. If you knew how to deal with every single objection, you would be thrilled to get on phone calls. You wouldn't be scared. You would never have fear, because you're like, this is just part of it, right?
It's part of the game.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to deal with those objections, and it's like, no, and then it's just like, oh, maybe I'm not good. Maybe this isn't for me.
Right.
Let's talk about your social media, because you have a very large social media following. Did you like kind of tap into that social media world and then kind of utilize it to help like sell your courses and stuff like that, or what? Like, did you know that your social media was going to be relevant to your career? No. I started social media because I seen people do. I'm like, oh, let me just post on here. I didn't think that this was going to be part, like, I honestly never thought that Instagram would ever make me a penny in my life. Right. And the more I think about it, I just caught myself. We were in the back room, right? And I was telling the homie out there, I'm like, I don't make a lot off my social media. But then as I was walking here, I'm like, no, I do. Because I just looked at the dollar amount that I actually get from social media, just from courses and people signing up to mentorship, right? Because I have another business on the side that actually makes a lot of my money. But then I'm like, no. I'm like, I actually make a lot of money. I'm like 90% of my money off social media because of the connections I make. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm like, I only get my agency clients because of social media. I'm not really putting that as a dollar value, but when I think of it, that relationship's worth $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, whatever the case is, right? So no, I didn't. Now intentionally, I do know, and I kind of gotta be reminded that it's so powerful, and I don't even see it sometimes. Like, I'm back in my home city. I lived in the States, and I just came back here last summer. Like, and I'll walk outside, and I'll be like every single day we get like stopped twice in Mississauga and Toronto and stuff. They're like, yo, I follow you on social media and stuff. I'm like, yo, they're like, oh my God, can I have a picture? I'm like, yo, I'm not like a boogie or some stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? I'm just putting out business content, right? Yeah. But, and then what makes me want to push more content is those type of things where people are like, I've seen you and you've changed this, or you've helped me in your business and stuff.
You're inspiring.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I got to go hard. It's like a disservice if I don't. Of course. So whether it makes me money or not, I'm like, I have to. Like, you guys put me under the sense of obligation where I got to keep pouring on no matter what.
Do you have any tips for somebody that would want to monetize their social media?
Yeah. Well, monetize it.
But in different ways. But like even like you have a newsletter, right? Being able to use your social media and getting those newsletters that could potentially have them signing up for your courses. Like it doesn't have to be like paid posts.
Here's the winner to social media. If you think about money, you lose. So if you get into social media and you're like, I want to make money off my Instagram, you've lost. You've lost because you've already said it's a me game. You've already said, yo, okay, how do we start this show and make money off the show? You've lost. How do I become an artist and make money off my social media? You've already lost.
It's not about
because if you look at my Instagram, 99% of people wouldn't know what the heck I do on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because I did such a good job of pouring on value that when the student's ready to learn, they'll ask the teacher.
Yeah.
So that's exactly my whole play. What's curious marketing all about is keeping it curious, pouring onto them. And when people are ready, yo, what do you do? I want to sign up to one of your things. I've suffocated. The thought of me suffocating the audience in value will come back as a byproduct. So I always think this. I don't think of product on my social media. I don't think about monetizing. I'm like, okay, who's the ideal audience that I want is the first thing I think of. So it's ideal customer, number one. Who do I want in my business? Let me speak to that audience and pour in value to that ideal customer. So I write out customer traits. Okay, this is the potential client that I want, right? This is who I want following me, right?
Yeah.
Then I pour in value to that audience without showing a product. I don't think about monetizing. I just pour on value into them. Okay, what do they like? And then this is what I start doing. I start testing all my posts. I'm like, do they like pictures? Do they like pictures with long captions? Do they like video format with no caption? Do they like stories? Like, what are they responding to? What got 3 comments? What got 7 comments? What got 7 comments? What got 14 comments? Because everybody's different platform is different.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that my voice did well on social media until I started putting more voice out there. I thought pictures were doing well. We were just speaking in the back room. I'm like, I thought it was doing well until I did voice. So everybody has a different play on their social media, right? Like I wouldn't be able to give advice to a guy that's 17. I'm like, bro, you got to test it yourself. Here are 3 different things you test. You test your stories, pictures, value posts, test these 9 different things. And what A/B split test works better for you after 3 months down the road. And then you just go for that.
Use that.
Yeah, you just go for that. And my kicker is this. If you're getting into social media in a scarcity mindset, like you have to make money off social media, don't do it. So this is what I would say do. Get into social media, pretend it's a project passion. If you have a 9 to 5, use a 9 to 5 to fund the social media and don't think like I'm going to make $1 million off my social media. Just keep dumping into it. Like keep putting money, whatever it is, ads, content, blah, blah, blah. But watch it flourish in the long run because now you're operating off like, your abundance, not your scarcity mindset. Like I got to make money within 3 months. You're going to lose because that's not the way it works. It's not what the audience wants. It's a them audience. It's a we audience, not a me audience. Right. So I always take a step back too. I'm like, yo, have I sold too much this month? Have I pushed too much this month? How much have I shined onto them? How many live streams did I did? Right. So yeah.
It's a balance.
Speaking about your live streams, bro, I think that's one key to success as well, like consistency. Like I don't know anyone that does any more lives than you. Like you're on live every day, 10:10 or 10:45, and it's just like a lot of people look at social media as like I can just do it once a week, or I can post
consistency.
I can post whenever I want, but that is the key to success.
Yeah.
Just being able to be dedicated.
Actually following through, and like if you set the precedent of like, oh, I'm gonna go live every single day at 10:45, then like making sure you actually show up because you will be surprised many people are actually like waiting for you to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like I've had so many times where people are like, yo, I've been waiting for you to say, good morning. Hope you have a positive and productive day. And I don't do it. And then I get all these messages
yesterday.
like,
I'm like, yo, I go live at 10:10 every day. I was running a call late. And I would check my DMs. It was like 200, 300 DMs being like, yo, D, are you going live? I'm like, yo, I'm like, for real? I'm like, I'm going to come live. Don't worry. I had to post. I'm like, yo, I'm coming live in like 10 minutes. You don't even think of it. People, this was always my thing, right? And my grandfather told me this and it never clicked with me. He's like, people follow you more than you follow yourself. Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't get it that before. He's like, people know your moves better than you know yourself, right? I'm like, oh, okay. Now I start getting it. Like people are actually watching you more than you think they're watching you, right? So
and they know your routines and stuff like that. Yeah, and they expect you to follow through. If you've given them that, make sure you follow up and continue. Yeah,
with the live streams, I mean, I here's the deal. I realize this is basically success in general. Persistence will get you anywhere to your 6-figure salary. It'll get you to your job, right? But consistency is what holds it and what's the most attractive trait. I realize me being a hustler got me to where I'm at, but like the people that truly win, the most attractive people are the people that just do it day in and day out. And people are attracted to that because they're like, yo, how? And that's the hardest thing. Like the hardest thing, again, it is like the consistent, like day in and day out action. It's the hardest thing, and I still fight with it, man. There's still like, you know, fear. I don't like give it to anybody fake. I'm like, yo, it's anxiety sometimes, man. When you want to, yo, I haven't had a dinner on a weekday before 11 o'clock. I haven't had one dinner in the last year before 11 o'clock on a week, like going out dinner with friends and stuff like that. And sometimes, like, you know, it gets exhausting and stuff. But then I'm like, yo, this is what you committed to. And that's difficult. Like that's truly difficult. And especially in the summer, yo, after COVID, everybody wants to freaking go to Harbor, go to Yorkville, have fun, go to Toronto, Blue Blood. People are texting me. They're like, yo, you coming? And I'm looking, I'm like, I got a live stream. And they're joking. They're like laughing at me. I'm like, nah, serious?
Because they know you're well off. You don't have to do the live stream.
But you know what? Not even, it's crazy, bro, because no matter what, you will always get laughed at no matter what, whether they know you're well off or anything. Like, I'm like, this was what, when I was young, when I was doing stuff, they're going to laugh at me. So no matter what I try to do, they're still going to laugh. They don't know what a live stream is. My friends are like, yo, what do you mean a live stream?
You serious?
Right?
Like,
so I'm like,
really
yo,
be on
the
Instagram?
Who laughs lasts the longest in life. The who always laughs last always laughs the longest. So I'm like, you could be laughing now, but you did the same thing when I dropped out of university. You did the same thing when I was a class clown, right? But 5 years down the road, when you want a sales job, you're probably gonna be like, yo, D, can you get me a sales job?
Yeah.
Can you help me?
Why now you're laughing to the bank.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You'll laugh straight to the bank. All right, well, this is part 1 of the episode with Daniel G. You guys are gonna discuss more like sales tactics, really get into it and talk more about success. So this is episode 1, Millennials to Millionaires. I'm Alicia Ace West.
Daniel King, aka King Sold.
Appreciate you guys, Daniel G.
Yes.